Admiral Kang of the Mathoni Confederacy stood motionless before the vast observation window of his ship, the Silent Whisper. His four-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the small blue planet rotate slowly in the distance. Earth, home to a species called humans. "Admiral, the Council's orders have arrived," said Officer Lee, approaching with a data tablet. Kang's silver eyes narrowed as he read the mission brief. The Galactic Council had only recently discovered this isolated world, and now wanted a complete assessment of human military capabilities. "Prepare the stealth scouts," Kang ordered. "We will observe their warships from a distance." 3 days later, the Mathoni fleet hovered at the edge of the solar system. Their advanced ships remained invisible to human detection systems. Kang watched with interest as human vessels patrolled the outer reaches of their territory. "Those must be their warships," said Science Director June, pointing to several angular vessels moving in formation. "The large one appears to be a carrier, and the smaller ones are escort ships." Kang studied the strange designs. Unlike the sleek organic curves of Mathoni ships, human vessels were boxy and practical, covered with what appeared to be weapons arrays and communication equipment. "They rely heavily on ballistic projectiles and chemical propellants," noted June as sensor data streamed in. "Primitive, but potentially effective at close range." "What about that one?" Kang asked, indicating a mid-sized ship that had separated from the others. "Designation reads HSS Defiant," replied Tactical Officer Bin. "Medium cruiser class, appears to be on a standard patrol route." Kang made his decision. "That will be our target for deeper analysis. Officer Min, deploy the scanner drones. Keep them well outside detection range." Min nodded and dispatched 3 small oval-shaped devices that darted silently toward the human vessel. Hours passed as the drones gathered information, mapping the Defiant's external structure and attempting to penetrate its electronic systems. Kang reviewed the initial reports with growing interest. "Unusual design choices," June remarked, scrolling through the data. "Their hull is significantly thicker than needed for space travel, and these sections here appear to be compartmentalized, as if designed to continue functioning even if other sections are compromised." The bridge fell silent as the implications became clear. These humans built ships expecting them to be damaged. "Can we access their computer systems?" Kang asked. Tech specialist Dai nodded slowly. "Their cybersecurity is not as advanced as their weapon systems. We've managed to establish a passive link to their database." Kang watched as human text scrolled across his screen, automatically translating into Mathoni script. These were ship specifications, crew rosters, mission parameters, and combat protocols. "They have entire sections dedicated to battle procedures," Day noted with surprise. "Look at this. Emergency triage stations, damage control teams, even survival protocols if the ship loses atmosphere." A sudden alert flashed on the main display. One of the scanner drones had drifted too close to the Defiant. "They've detected something," warned Officer Bin. "The human ship is changing course to investigate." "Recall the drones immediately," ordered Kang. "Prepare to withdraw to a safe distance." The team watched nervously as the human vessel approached the area where the drone had been. After a tense few minutes, the Defiant resumed its patrol route. "That was close," sighed Min. Later that night, Kang reviewed the data in his private quarters. The more he learned about these humans, the more puzzled he became. Their technology was less advanced than that of the Mathoni, yet their approach to warfare seemed uniquely practical. A soft chime announced Science Director June's arrival. "Admiral, I've completed my initial analysis of their weapon systems," he said, his expression troubled. "Their primary armaments are designed to continue functioning even after taking significant damage, and their backup systems have backup systems." "What does that tell you about them?" Kang asked. June hesitated. "It suggests a species that expects conflict, that prepares for it as an inevitability." Kang turned back to the viewport, where Earth was now just a distant blue dot. "Continue your analysis, Director. I want to know everything about this ship, its strengths, weaknesses, and most importantly, what it tells us about the humans who built it." As June left, Kang couldn't shake a growing feeling of unease. The Galactic Council had encountered many species over the centuries, but humans might prove to be something entirely different. Science Director June had not slept in 3 days. His office aboard the Silent Whisper was filled with holographic projections of the human warship, HSS Defiant. He studied each system with growing concern, making notes on his tablet as Officer Sue brought him another cup of stimulant brew. "You should rest," Sue said, placing the steaming cup beside him. "Not yet," June replied, his four-fingered hand pointing to a section of the ship's design. "Look at this shielding around their reactor core. It's rated to withstand impacts that would destroy most of the ship." Sue leaned closer. "So they protect their power source? That seems logical." "But it's more than that," June insisted. "The shielding isn't just for accidents. It's designed to keep the reactor operational during combat, even if nearby sections are completely destroyed." Admiral Kang entered the office, his silver eyes taking in the displays. "What have you found, Director?" June stood up straight. "Admiral, these humans design their ships unlike any species we've encountered. Every system has redundancies. Every crew station has backup power. Their life support can run on minimal power for weeks." Kang moved around the hologram, studying it carefully. "What about their weapons?" "That's even more concerning," June said, switching the display to show the Defiant's weapon systems. "They use kinetic projectiles, energy beams, and what appear to be explosive devices. But the troubling part is how they're arranged." He highlighted sections of the ship. "These weapons can operate independently if the main control center is destroyed. In fact, the ship has 3 separate command centers that can take over if others are lost. A species that expects decapitation strikes," Kang murmured. Tech Specialist Day entered, carrying a data crystal. "Admiral, we've decrypted more of their database. I found their training programs." The hologram changed to show interior scenes from the Defiant. Humans in matching uniforms moved quickly through corridors filled with smoke. Some carried tools, others weapons. In one scene, a human continued operating a console even as water sprayed from broken pipes overhead. "These are drills," Day explained. "They practice responding to ship damage regularly. They simulate attacks, system failures, even hull breaches." "How often do they conduct these drills?" Kang asked. "According to their logs, at least weekly," Day replied. "Sometimes daily during what they call high alert periods." Officer Min joined them, adding, "We've analyzed their crew rotation schedules. Every human aboard can perform multiple duties. Engineers can operate weapons systems. Medical staff are trained for combat." Kang's expression darkened. "A crew prepared to fight even with significant casualties." June switched the display again. "Their medical bay is equally telling. It's designed for mass casualties with rapid triage systems, and look at this. They store large quantities of their own blood for emergency transfusions." "They expect their people to be injured," Sue whispered. "There's more," Day said. "We found something called the Battle of Britain in their historical archives. It describes aerial combat where pilots were sent out knowing many wouldn't return. They called it acceptable losses." A heavy silence fell over the room. The concept of sending crew members on missions with the expectation that many would die was alien to Mathoni thinking. Their military operations were planned to minimize risk at all costs. Kang studied a diagram of the human vessel's escape pods. Even their evacuation systems are unusual. The pods are armed with small defense weapons and contain supplies for extended survival. "They don't just plan for victory," June concluded. "They plan for surviving defeat." Later, in his private quarters, Kang reviewed the day's findings with growing unease. The holographic display now showed intercepted communications from the Defiant. He watched as the human captain conducted a drill, calmly giving orders as simulated damage reports came in. "Seal off decks 5 through 8, the captain said without emotion. "Reroute power from non-essential systems to forward shields." A crew member reported, "Sir, we've lost 30% of our weapons capacity." The captain nodded as if this were expected. "Concentrate remaining firepower on their propulsion systems." Kang paused the playback, troubled by what he had seen. The humans didn't panic when systems failed. They didn't retreat when outmatched. Their entire design philosophy seemed built around continuing to fight despite sustaining damage that would make any Mathoni captain surrender. A soft chime announced Officer Min at his door. "Admiral," she said hesitantly, "we've discovered something else. Their ship contains recreational facilities, gathering places where the crew relaxes when off duty." "That seems normal," Kang replied. "Yes, but we've intercepted conversations from these areas. The humans joke about death, Admiral. They make light of the possibility of their ship being destroyed. It's as if they've accepted it as a normal part of their existence." Kang turned back to the frozen image of the human captain. "A species that has normalized the possibility of violent death," he said quietly. "Contact Science Director June. We need to learn more." The command deck of the Silent Whisper was unusually quiet as Admiral Kang and his senior staff watched the historical footage retrieved from the Defiance database. The large screen showed images of human warfare spanning centuries, ancient battles with primitive weapons, mechanized conflicts across vast landscapes, and finally modern space engagements. "Stop there," Kang ordered as footage of an orbital battle appeared. Two human fleets exchanged fire, ships exploding in silent bursts of light and debris. Science Director June paused the playback. "This battle occurred just 15 Earth years ago. The humans call it the Battle of Europa Junction. According to their records, the defending fleet was outnumbered 3-1. "So they retreated?" asked Officer Min, already knowing the answer wouldn't be that simple. "No," June replied, his voice hollow. "They fought to the last ship. Their commander ordered something called a final stand, to buy time for civilian transports to escape." Tactical Officer Bin leaned forward. "That makes no mathematical sense. Once defeat is certain, continuing to fight only increases casualties." "For us, yes," Kang said quietly. "But humans appear to operate on different principles." He gestured for June to continue the playback. The footage showed human vessels, already damaged and venting atmosphere, deliberately positioning themselves between enemy ships and fleeing civilian transports. One by one, the defending ships were destroyed. "This behavior appears repeatedly in their military history," June explained. "They call it sacrificing the few to save the many." Medical Officer Sue, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. "I've been analyzing their medical protocols. They have systems for deciding which injured crew members receive treatment first in mass casualty situations." "Triage," Kang said. "Many species practice this." "Yes, but their criteria are disturbing," Sue continued. "They prioritize those who can return to duty most quickly, not necessarily those most likely to survive. In extreme situations, they may even withhold treatment from the severely wounded to conserve resources for others." A uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Tech Specialist Day activated a new file. "I've managed to access their crew logs. Listen to this conversation recorded in what they call their mess hall 3 days ago." Audio filled the command deck. "Did you see the new escape pod drills?" a human voice asked. "Yeah," another replied. 15 seconds to seal the hatches or you're space dust." Laughter followed. "I'm more worried about the new reactor containment protocols," a third voice said. "If those fail, we won't even have time to know we're dead." More laughter. Day stopped the recording. "They joke about their own deaths," he said, "as if it's expected." Kang turned away from the screen, his silver eyes troubled. "They've normalized the possibility of their own destruction." "There's something else," Officer Min added hesitantly. "We've analyzed their combat training scenarios. Many of them are what humans call no-win situations, simulations designed to be impossible to complete successfully." "Why train for something you cannot succeed at?" asked Bin. "Because they're not training to win," Kang realized. "They're training to continue functioning despite knowing they will fail." Later that night, alone in his quarters, Kang reviewed more footage. This time it showed the interior of the Defiant during an actual emergency. A minor explosion had damaged one of the ship's secondary systems. What struck Kang wasn't the incident. itself, but the crew's response. No one panicked. No one hesitated. Each human moved with practiced precision, some running toward the danger rather than away from it. The ship's captain continued giving orders calmly, as if an explosion aboard. Her vessel was a minor inconvenience. Within minutes, the situation was under control. The injured were treated, the damage contained. Most remarkably, the rest of the ship's operations continued without interruption. Kang's door chimed. Science Director June entered, carrying new reports. "Admiral, I've been reviewing their psychological profiles," June said, his voice strained. "Humans have a concept they call duty. It frequently overrides their self-preservation instincts." "How is that possible?" Kang asked. "Every sentient species values its own survival." "They do value survival," June clarified, "but not necessarily individual survival. They place enormous importance on group survival, their ship, their planet, their species. Individual humans will knowingly sacrifice themselves if they believe it serves this greater purpose." Kang walked to his viewport, staring out at the stars. "In all my years exploring the galaxy, I've never encountered a species that sends its people into space expecting them not to return." "There's one more thing, Admiral," June said quietly. "We found their contingency plans if they encounter hostile, alien life. They assume any technologically advanced species would be a threat. And their planned response?" June's 4 fingers tightened around his data tablet. "Immediate military mobilization. They have protocols for fighting species far more advanced than themselves. Not diplomacy, not retreat, fighting. A species that won't surrender even when faced with superior technology," Kang whispered. "Yes," June agreed, "and they've built their entire military around that principle." Kang turned back to the images of human warships on his screen. "The Council needs to know what we've found." The unexpected alert jolted Admiral Kang from his thoughts. Red warning lights flashed across the Silent Whisper's command deck as Officer Min rushed to her station. "Admiral, our cloaking field is fluctuating," she reported urgently. "Power surge in the main emitter array." Kang moved swiftly to the tactical display. "Can we stabilize it?" "Engineering is attempting repairs now," Bin replied, his fingers moving rapidly across his console. "But we've been visible for approximately 12 seconds. Those 12 seconds proved fatal to their stealth mission." A new alert sounded as Officer Sue called out, "The human vessel has changed course. They're heading directly toward our position at maximum speed." Kang watched as the HSS Defiant grew larger on their main view screen. The human warship's profile was even more intimidating. Up close, angular, purposeful, bristling with weapons that were now clearly active. "They're scanning us," Tech Specialist Day reported. "Very thorough scans. Our remaining cloaking systems can't block them completely." "Communication attempt incoming," Min announced. "They're hailing us on multiple frequencies." Kang straightened his uniform and made a quick decision. "Accept the communication, no point hiding now." The view screen flickered and revealed a human female standing on the Defiance bridge. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression was alert, but not openly hostile. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Park of the Earth Alliance ship, Defiant. You are in restricted space and using technology consistent with surveillance operations. Identify yourselves immediately." Kang stepped forward. "I am Admiral Kang of the Methoni Confederacy. We are on a scientific mission of observation." Captain Park's expression didn't change. "Scientific missions typically announce themselves through proper channels, Admiral. They don't use cloaking technology to spy on military vessels. Our protocols for first contact with newly discovered species require careful observation before direct engagement," Kang replied, improvising quickly. "We meant no offense." Park's eyes narrowed slightly. "I'm dispatching a shuttle to dock with your vessel. Prepare to receive myself and a small team. We can continue this conversation in person." The screen went dark before Kang could respond. "They're not giving us a choice," Bin observed. "No," Kang agreed. "They're not." 30 minutes later, Kang and his senior staff waited nervously as the airlock cycled. The door slid open to reveal Captain Park, flanked by 4 humans in dark uniforms. Unlike the Mathoni with their gray skin and 4-fingered hands, the humans seemed both familiar and alien with their varied skin tones and confident movements. "Admiral Kang," Park said, stepping forward to meet him. "Permission to come aboard?" "Granted," Kang replied, noting that she had already entered regardless. Once seated in the Silent Whispers conference room, Park wasted no time. "Let's be direct, Admiral. You've been observing our ship for at least 7 days. Your drones have scanned our hull, and we've detected multiple attempts to access our computer systems." Science Director June's eyes widened in surprise. The humans had been aware of them much longer than they realized. "What exactly are you looking for?" Park asked. Kang decided honesty was his only option. "We are assessing your species' capabilities and intentions. The Galactic Council maintains peace among thousands of worlds. When a new spacefaring civilization is discovered, we must determine if they represent a threat." To Kang's surprise, Captain Park smiled. "And what have you concluded from spying on my ship?" "That humans are..." Kang hesitated, searching for diplomatic words. "Unique in their approach to warfare. Your vessels are designed to sustain damage, yet continue fighting. Your crews train for scenarios with high casualty rates. You appear to expect conflict." Park nodded slowly. "We prepare for the worst possibilities. It's different from expecting them to happen." "But your history," Science Director June began, "is full of conflicts, yes," Park interrupted, "but also full of peace efforts, scientific cooperation, and cultural exchange. You've seen our warship, Admiral. Have you looked at our hospital ships? Our science vessels? Our diplomatic corps?" An uncomfortable silence fell over the room as Kang realized their analysis might be incomplete. Suddenly, a violent shudder ran through both ships. Alarms blared as Officer Min's voice came through the comm system. "Admiral, a micrometeor cluster just struck both vessels. We have hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Park's hand moved to her communicator instantly. Defiant. "Report. Minor damage to our starboard sensor array, Captain," came the reply. "No casualties." Before Kang could issue orders, the human captain was already moving. "Your ship took the worst of it. My team has emergency repair equipment. Let's go." Kang watched in astonishment as Park and her officers rushed toward the damaged sections without hesitation. He and his staff followed quickly. They arrived at Deck 3 to find chaos. Air was venting from a jagged hole in the hull, and several Mathoni crew members were injured. Without pausing, Park's team deployed emergency sealant from equipment they'd brought aboard, quickly stopping the air loss. "Get these wounded to your medical bay," Park ordered, helping a limping Mathoni technician. "My medical officer will assist your team." Working side by side, the humans and Mathoni brought the crisis under control within minutes. Kang observed the humans' practiced efficiency with new understanding. They weren't acting on battle protocols. They were responding to an emergency with trained precision. Later, as the repair teams finished their work, Captain Park rejoined Kang on the command deck. "Your crew performed admirably," she said. "As did yours," Kang replied. "I believe I may have misunderstood your species, Captain Park." Park smiled again, more genuine this time. "That happens often during first contacts, Admiral. Perhaps we should start over, this time without the spying." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with murmurs as Admiral Kang stood before the assembled representatives of 300 worlds. His formal uniform gleamed under the chamber's soft light as he prepared to deliver his report on humanity. Senior Counselor Gill, the eldest of the Mathoni representatives, spoke first. "Admiral Kang, your initial communications indicated the humans might pose a significant threat to galactic peace. Has your assessment changed after direct contact?" Kang looked up at the semicircle of alien faces watching him, some curious, others clearly concerned. "Yes, Counselor. My conclusions have evolved substantially," Kang replied, his voice steady. "I request permission to present Captain Park of the Human Alliance ship Defiant, who has accompanied our delegation." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber, bringing an unvetted representative of a newly discovered species before the Full council was unprecedented. After a moment's hesitation, Counselor Gill nodded. Granted. Captain Park entered the chamber with confident steps. Unlike the elaborate robes or exoskeletons worn by many council representatives, she wore her standard Navy uniform. She bowed respectfully before taking her place beside Kang. Honored Council, Kang began. Our initial analysis of human ships and military protocols led us to believe they were an inherently aggressive, combat-oriented species. Their vessels are designed to withstand extreme damage. Their crews train constantly for catastrophic scenarios. Their history contains conflicts that would devastate most civilizations. Images of the HSS Defiant appeared in the air above them, rotating slowly to show its weapon systems and reinforced structure. However, Kang continued, I now believe we fundamentally misunderstood what these characteristics reveal about humanity. He nodded to Science Director June, who activated a new series of images. Human ships delivering supplies to a colony devastated by solar flares, evacuating civilians from a failing habitat, and conducting rescue operations in an asteroid field. In the past Earth year, human military vessels have conducted 87 humanitarian missions. They have engaged in combat only 12 times, all defensive actions protecting civilian populations, Kang explained. Their warships are not primarily instruments of conquest but of protection. Captain Park stepped forward when Kang gestured to her. Respected representatives, she said, her voice clear and direct. Humanity evolved on a planet with thousands of natural disasters. Earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, and devastating storms. Our earliest civilizations had to be resilient to survive. When we reached for the stars, we carried that same principle with us. She pointed to the rotating image of her ship. The Defiant may look like a vessel designed for war, and it can certainly defend itself when necessary. But its primary mission is exploration and assistance. We build redundant systems not because we expect to fight, but because space itself is dangerous. We train for catastrophes because they happen regardless of our intentions. Many council members leaned forward, studying the human with new interest. During our encounter with Admiral Kang's vessel, Park continued, both ships were damaged by a micrometeorite cluster. Our crews worked together to make repairs. That cooperative effort revealed more about both our species than weeks of observation ever could. Kang nodded in agreement. The humans didn't hesitate to help us even though moments earlier we had been potential adversaries. They risked their lives to save my crew. Counselor Gill's expression remained skeptical. But what of these training scenarios where humans practice continuing to fight despite catastrophic damage and casualties? Such thinking suggests a dangerous mindset. With respect, Counselor, Park replied, we call that not giving up. When the situation is dire, whether it's combat, a natural disaster, or a technical failure, humans believe in continuing to try, even when success seems impossible. She smiled slightly. We have a saying, where there's life, there's hope. We train to keep functioning in terrible situations not because we're eager for war, but because we refuse to accept defeat, whether from enemy action or the cold vacuum of space. The chamber fell silent as the council members considered her words. Finally, Counselor Gill spoke again. Admiral Kang, what is your final recommendation? Kang stood straighter. I recommend the Council approve formal diplomatic relations with humanity immediately. Further, I suggest a joint Mathoni-human mission to demonstrate our new partnership. 3 months later, Admiral Kang stood in the observation lounge of the newly commissioned vessel Harmony, watching Earth recede in the distance. The ship, built with combined Mathoni and human technology, was embarking on its first exploratory mission to a previously unmapped sector. Captain Park joined him at the viewport. Having second thoughts, Admiral? Kang shook his head. No. But I am curious. When we first met, your ship could have easily destroyed mine. Why didn't you? Park considered the question before answering. Because we've learned through hard experience that making enemies is easy, but making friends takes patience and understanding. Yes, we prepare for the worst, but we always hope for the best. Kang nodded slowly. Perhaps that is the most important lesson humans have to teach the galaxy. Park smiled as the stars streaked past, marking the beginning of their journey together. And we have much to learn from you as well, Admiral. That's what exploration is all about.